I'm Jessica, and welcome to the kitchen of Stacey's Old Kentucky Home. I've taken over the kitchen today because I'm going to be making a Kentucky tea that I want to give a chance to cool before we pair it later with Stacey's Kentucky Boil. Let's get started. For our Kentucky tea, we're going to use 1 cup of bourbon, a half a cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice, 5 black tea packets, a cup of fresh mint, half a cup of water, half a cup of sugar, plus 8 more additional cups of water. Before you get started with the simple syrup, go ahead and bring 4 cups of water to a boil for the tea. And for the simple syrup, which is simply always equal parts water and sugar, we're just going to use a half a cup of water and a half a cup of sugar. And then we're going to flavor it with the fresh mint. So we're going to add that in before we bring it over to the stove to bring it to a simmer. I'm making a little extra than we need for the tea, but just to have on hand for the mint syrup. All right, let's bring this to the stove top. So I've got our mint, water, and sugar over about medium-high heat, and we're just gonna stir this up together, try to get the mint incorporated in there pretty well. And all we need is to get this hot enough to dissolve the sugar. We don't really need to bring it to a boil. All right, that sugar is nice and dissolved, and the mint is aromatic now, so we're gonna go ahead and take this off the heat and get the rest of our ingredients together. So we've got our 4 cups of water and our 5 tea bags steeping right now. So we're gonna let that happen for at least about 10 minutes. And the next thing we're gonna do is squeeze our fresh lemon juice. And we just need half a cup to add to this. Pretty good lemons here, so that should be fine. I'm gonna strain out the seeds. And I'm not gonna add all the simple syrup right into our tea, but it is nice if you like to serve that on the side for people that like a sweeter tea. And in the South, that is certainly a popular choice. All right, so we've steeped out our tea bags from this hot water, and the next thing we're gonna do is add our 2 tablespoons of the simple syrup without getting any of those cooked mint leaves in there, because it won't be good for the flavor anymore. That one was not heaping. A little more. We've got our half cup of fresh lemon juice going in here. And then we're gonna use a full cup of Kentucky bourbon. And the last thing that we're gonna do is dilute this down with 4 more cups of water. And then we're gonna refrigerate it until we're ready to serve it to our guests. So I guess it's time for me to get out of the kitchen so that Stacey can get started on our Kentucky Boil.
I think the Kentucky tea that Jessica's making is going to be the perfect complement for this classic summer dish. We're basically making a low country boil with a bourbon country twist. Here's what we'll need. 6 ears of corn, 1.5 pounds of potatoes, 2 pounds of shrimp, 2 lemons, 2 pounds of sausage, and 3 tablespoons of Old Bay seasoning. For this recipe, you will need a large stock pot, and I have filled this one halfway up with water. The amount of water you use is not critically important, just about halfway. Because it's a boil, you just need to leave enough room in your stock pot to accommodate all the ingredients. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour in our Old Bay seasoning. And I guess if you were to fill this all the way, you would maybe need more Old Bay seasoning, but 3 tablespoons is gonna work for about half this stock pot. You're just gonna mix that up. Smell the spices coming out of this. There's a ton of recipes online for making your own version of an Old Bay seasoning with different spices, but it's pretty readily available anywhere. Okay, the next I've cut these lemons, and we're just gonna squeeze a little of the juice. Don't need to worry about the seeds going into this because we're gonna strain everything after we get out the boil. And you're just gonna throw these right in the stock pot, almost like cooking like with a bay leaf. They're gonna give a little more lemony flavor to this boil. Okay, and we're just gonna take our stock pot over to the stove and bring it to a rapid boil. While our stock pot is heating up, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what makes this a Kentucky boil. As I mentioned, the produce is Kentucky proud from a neighborhood farmer's market. Same with the sausage, it's pork produced, kielbasa. The shrimp is maybe a little more surprising. Louisville is home to the UPS World Port and flies in fresh seafood daily, and I think a lot of people are surprised by that. We have an abundant supply of fresh seafood. You'll find this in oyster bars throughout the city, sushi bars, and a lot of seafood restaurants. I'm also going to be throwing in a surprise ingredient today. Now this is not important for your recipe at home, but I have friends coming over and I saw this at a local market and I thought I'd pick it up. This is from the Shuckman's Fish Company. They're famous for their paddlefish caviar that's shipped to places all over the world. This particular package is their salmon country sausage, and I thought that would be a fun addition to the kielbasa. So I'm gonna throw these in the stock pot and see how that turns out as well. Let's go check on it. Okay, we have a boil. We're just gonna add our sausage. And our potatoes. Oops, it's splashing a little bit. And then a couple of our surprise sausages. And we're gonna leave this on a boil for about 10 minutes until we add our corn. Our sausage and potatoes have been boiling for 10 minutes. Now we're gonna add the corn and cook another 5. And last but not least, the shrimp. It's our last ingredient and it just needs to cook for 3 minutes. Jessica, I think our friends are going to chow down on this end of summer feast.
Yes, so do I. It looks very delicious. And you know what? I think in the meantime, before they get here, we should take these Kentucky teas out to the front porch and soak up the last bit of the season.
I think you have a perfect ending for a perfect episode.
So we'll see you next time on Bourbon
And Biscuits.
Cheers. Cheers.